The Dark Base 700 from Be Quiet features a tempered glass side panel, front panel USB 3.1 Type-C, and a reversible motherboard tray for a complete custom look. Extensive water cooling support and cable management make this a great case for your next silent build. Click the link in the description below for more info. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all doing well. Today we're assembling yet another gaming PC, big surprise. This is for December's PC of the month, and I've decided on a high-end AMD Ryzen gaming system with a black and white theme. And I'm not gonna go too crazy, I'm sort of creatively tapped out this week because we just got done with the N through Elite build. If you haven't seen that, check that out, it's pretty crazy. But this is gonna be a more straightforward build, very simple, but still a very capable gaming system, even though it's not $10,000 like the Elite build. It'll be great. The fact that we're using a Ryzen 7 1700 with 8 cores, 16 threads, and lots of overclocking headroom also indicates that this could potentially be used as a pretty decent workstation PC, thanks to the versatility of these high-end Ryzen cores. We've also got a B350 Tomahawk Arctic motherboard from MSI, a nice little sort of mid-range to entry-level AM4 motherboard. It's also got a very unique sort of white/silvery aesthetic, which I think is going to match really nicely with everything else we got here. Pairing that with a 16GB kit of Ripjaws 5 DDR4 at 3000 megahertz. Really important that you get a relatively fast DDR4 kit if you're going to be pairing it with a Ryzen CPU, because of the whole Infinity Fabric integration with the Zen architecture. That actually helps out a lot when it comes to raw gaming performance. Additionally, we've got a nice cooler for our CPU. This is the H5 from CryoRig. I've only really ever dealt with like the more entry-level CryoRig coolers, like the H7. I don't think I've ever dealt with, and then the low-profile one, the C7. Both have been fantastic. Very excited to be using this one for the first time ever. It has a nice white cover plate, a pretty beefy heatsink compared to the other two I just mentioned, and sort of a slim profile fan that looks very nice. So super stoked about that. The GTX 1070 Ti from Gigabyte is supposed to be a pretty decent card. It's one of the more aggressively priced 1070 Ti's on the market right now, and it still has a triple fan design, a WindForce cooler with RGB lighting, a metal backplate, and all that jazz. It does have some orange accents on the shroud, on the bottom of the shroud, but once we get it installed, you probably won't see too much of that, so I'll be able to sleep at night. We've also got an A55, this is just a regular SATA 6 gigabit per second SSD from Silicon Power, or SP. They don't even put Silicon Power on the packaging anymore. It just says SP. You have to go to the back of the box now, or the back of the packaging, for it to actually say Silicon Power. I don't know if they're going under a identity crisis. I would know all about that though. We've got a 2 terabyte WD Black hard drive, just a simple mechanical for all of our games and whatnot. And then we've got a power supply from InWin. This is the C750 watt as part of their Classic series. It's an 80 plus platinum certified unit. It's very heavy, which usually means that it's high quality, and it has fully modular cables and all that. It's supposed to have a pretty quiet fan as well. This is not a very stable setup for my RAM stand here. Tape measures don't make good RAM stands. Who knew? Now the power supply does come with all black cables, which is nice, but to spice things up, I decided to go with some custom sleeved cables from Wazmods. There aren't a ton of really high quality sleevers out there in the PC DIY market, so whenever I come across one, I'm sure to call them out and give them a shot. These are beautifully sleeved. Thank you, Wazmods, for taking the time and getting these to me really quick. Shipping was super fast. The rates on the site are very affordable. Guys, check it out. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to give your rig a little extra something aesthetically. And then finally, I think, yeah, last but not least, we have our case here. Again from InWin. Thank you, InWin, for hooking this up. This is the InWin 30... Stop it! Stop moving! You're killing my vibe! This is the InWin 303C, the C indicating that it has a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port on the front panel, which is great. It also has RGB lighting, a beautiful tempered glass side panel that has toolless removal. I also got a couple Fractal Design Silent Series R2 case fans that we might be populating this case with, just to give us a little bit more airflow. They of course have the traditional Fractal Design white blades and black frames, which I think is also going to look pretty nice. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're working with today. Should be a very fun and, as I mentioned, straightforward build. So let's just dive right in, get things assembled, and we'll circle back after it's all done, talk about what building was like inside of the InWin 303C. As a quick disclaimer, quick disclaimer, I've actually never built inside of an InWin 303, 303C, or even a 301, so this is going to be a very fresh experience for me that I'll be happy to share with you guys as soon as we're all assembled. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get building. 3, 2, 1, let's build it! Well guys, I've done it again. You know that thing I do when I'm dumb and I do something stupid because I'm an idiot? Yeah, as I'm sure a lot of you guys already caught from the beginning of the video, this motherboard does not have a USB 3.1 Type-C header on it, which means the number one feature of this case cannot be utilized, which is the front panel USB 3.1 Type-C port.
You're an idiot!
I'm sorry. I was ordering the parts very quickly, and this sounds like an excuse because it totally is, and I saw that it did support USB 3.1 Type-C, but I didn't notice it was Gen 1, and it was actually talking about the rear I/O port that it has, not the internal header. So, in a frenzy of ordering parts, I bought a motherboard that does not support the thing that we need. So, yeah, haha. Well, I guess there's not much we can do now other than press onward with the build. I mean, I don't even have an alternate B350 board that would match the theme here that also has a 3.1 Type-C header. So use this as a reminder to never listen to anything I say. Although you guys probably do that anyway, so you're smart, unlike me. Okay, on with the build. Let's hope nothing else goes wrong. Good Lord. Alright, so the build is complete. It looks very matchy-matchy and everything went smoothly for the most part. And as you guys kind of watch back some of this B-roll here, you might notice that the system is powered off for every shot. And the reason that is because the ATX cable that came included with this in-wind power supply was actually incorrect or defective. I'm not sure which one. But basically one end of the cable terminates to a normal 24 pin that goes to the motherboard. The other end is a 16 plus 14 pin, terminates into two different connectors that would go into the unit, but that's a 30 total of 30 pins. And the unit itself only accepts 24 pins. So basically what that equates to is I can't power the motherboard, meaning I can't boot the system. So I am super strapped for time. I would have loved to unplug everything, undo what little cable management I did do, and swap in a different power supply so I could show it to you guys powered on, but I just don't have the time or bandwidth to do that in this video. So I'm gonna have to promise you guys an IOU that we'll do some sexy B-roll in a part 2 follow-up or something like that. But other things that I can comment on include the cable management in general is interesting. I mean, it's not amazing and it's not awful. There are certain things that you would expect to see on a modern 2017 case, like tie-down points behind the motherboard tray. There are none, or very few, from what I could tell. So my cables are kind of just sticking out. Fortunately, the way the back side panel works is very good at just being able to use brute force to clamp it shut, and I didn't really have any trouble with that. But it would have been nice to just, you know, if you're a neat freak or you have OCD, to be able to tie those cables down. Additionally, the front panel connectors at the very bottom usually are plugging in at the very bottom of your motherboard were a little more difficult than usual just because the way that this is designed, you don't really have any space beneath the motherboard for your hands to go. So it's like literally just the bottom of your motherboard is the bottom of the case. And so it took me a little bit more effort and time to actually get those plugged in. And of course there's an order of operations there because you actually have to plug in the front panel connectors first before you install any of the intake fans. I should have mentioned this earlier, but the way this case is designed is that it gets all of its intake from the bottom of the case. There's a nice pull-out dust filter, which I didn't show you guys earlier. You can install up to 3 120s, and that gives you all the necessary intake that you might need. Pull in air from the bottom of the case. There is no ventilation, no fan mounts at the front of the case at all. So it's pretty unique in that sense. And then obviously you have some room here for AIO radiators and things like that. I just have a single exhaust fan here, and then I installed one at the back. So overall, in total I'm using 5. I installed 5 of those Fractal Design Silent Series fans. Looks like they're going to do a fine job. I guess we can test it out in a later video. And the other thing is that I overestimated or underestimated how insanely thin or slim or narrow this case is, especially when installing a cooler like this, like the H5 here from CryoRig. It barely made it with the side panel. Actually, the heatsink itself and this cover plate was fine, but the fan is actually touching, resting up against the tempered glass. So any taller and we might have had even more issues than we've already had with this build today. Getting the motherboard installed was pretty straightforward. There were a couple pre-installed standoffs, but I did still have to install a few more of them for a regular ATX board. The drive mounting system seems pretty straightforward. There's a couple mounting trays actually on this side right here. They're for 2.5-inch drives, and 2 more behind the motherboard tray that can house either 3.5 or 2.5-inch drives. So that's where they are. Just get them out of the way. Keep it a little bit more stealthy. Love how the cables turned out. Love how they look in the final build. Go ahead and check WazMods out in the comments or in the description below if you're at all interested. And yeah, overall this was a fun system to build, even though we ran into several complications this time around, but that's just how it goes sometimes, guys. You just gotta roll with the punches. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, toss me a like on it. It really helps me a lot. And if you are interested in watching any of my videos a week early without ads, you can check me out on FLOATPLANE. I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. But until next time, guys, have a good one, and I will see y'all in the next video.